Doing today? Welcome to my Thursday live stream where we talk about photography and what's been going on and just to kind of catch up with everyone. It's always good to see everyone here. Take a quick look. I see Caitlin and Christine and Barry and Plato. Always good to see you guys. I was having little technical difficulties. Sorry for the late start. And I need to wind my watch a little bit too. It stopped. This watch is from this is my dad's old watch from the 70s, so it's about 50 years old. And if I don't wind it up right, it doesn't keep time. Anyway, but the real problem actually was I was wearing this yellow shirt, and I came and I sat down, and the yellow shirt was so bright, it was like just blowing out. And I tried to adjust it anyway. It's neither here nor there. So I just have to kind of stick to this blue shirt that I didn't get a chance to iron before I came on because the yellow shirt was just too bright. So if you look at my old streams, you'll see I never wear a yellow shirt. So I don't know why. I don't know. I guess in the summer, in the wintertime, I don't wear yellow anyway, because yellow is kind of a summer color, right? And in the winter, I normally wear blues and browns and very dark shirts. So I kind of forgot about not wearing yellow shirts now that it's summer, almost anyway. Wow. So it's I finally cranked out a video on Aperture, and feedback's been really good so far, and I appreciate that and the support you guys give me. I want to go back to doing videos for beginners, because most of you are very advanced photographers already, much better photographers than I am, actually, in my opinion. But I like to keep getting new subscribers, new photographers in particular that need to learn photography and try to tackle topics that can be very confusing or misunderstood. And I remember when I was starting out that Aperture was one of those things I just didn't comprehend, So I thought I'd start with that. And I glossed over a lot of the math involved as much as I can, because Aperture is in everything in photography. Really, when you talk about lighting, it's all physics and math, right? So you have to do some to explain, properly what each function does. So the course that I did, or the video I did, was actually a in-person class that I used to do. And so I had to try to convert the materials over from an in-person type scenario to something you can just do online in a video. I was debating whether or not to make it like a live stream, right, where I can take questions from the chat section and stuff. But and as much as I like doing that, it's not quite as engaging as an in-person type situation. And I do the Zoom style type classes where everybody's there, right, and can just kind of jump in any time. So that's a little better than just having a chat section by itself. I wish I could do that on YouTube a little more. I mean, I can to the extent, but I'm limited to, I think, 10 or 15 participants, and I'd like to be able to have 100, which is what I pay for my other class. And I don't want to have any limits, because man, I had 40 people signed up for one of my classes a couple of weeks ago, and I had 30 people signed up for the class I did last week. And so this little 10 or 15 person limit on YouTube ain't going to cut it to do live classes on YouTube. So I have to do them through my my meetup group. But I'd still like to do in person. Now that the weather's semi-decent, I can do these classes in the field, right? It's a little harder though, because then I don't have a monitor or anything to kind of do diagrams and things. So there's positive and negatives, right? To doing classes outdoors, because when you're outdoors, then you can do real in the field type teaching, right? Versus just it's more academic when you're in a classroom setting or in a Zoom meeting. It's very academic, and it's hard to uh, demonstrate in real life what you're trying to accomplish and or the concept that you're trying to teach. Oh, let me adjust my screen here. You can't see the chat section. There we go. Oh, thank you. An iron, what's that? Believe it or not, when I do my videos or I come live on stream, I do try to dress appropriately, at least have a little bit of formality, and comb my hair and shave and present myself the best I can, because, you know, it's a I it's maybe it's old school, but I think it shows a little bit more respect to the audience that you take the time to at least be presentable when you come online or do a video. And no offense to everyone else online, because everybody wears t-shirts and sweats and just hoodies, whatever. It's like I guess that being casual is just as valid as being a little bit more formal, like I like to try. But it's just how I feel. My personal morals, not morals, but etiquette. I think to at least try to be a little bit more formal and less casual, because it would just seem it just feels for me, right? I just feel a little bit disrespectful if I just came out here in a t-shirt or you know sweatshirt, whatever, and and start talking to you, because that it just to me, I feel like I'd be projecting that I don't really care who's watching or who you are, you know. And I do the same thing when I go out. It drives me nuts when I go out and I see people just wearing their pajamas while they're shopping at Walmart, and I'm like, why? I get it. You're not dressing up on a date or anything, but it's just how I feel. I mean, I don't get offended or anything by it. People can do whatever they want. It's a free country. But me personally, I'm not gonna dress like that. Uh, okay, let's see. I think Serge has a question here. Let me. Crap. One of these days, I'll get a big screen. You know. Well, I got to talk about my latest purchase, which was good. When using focus bracketing, is it possible to set a custom self timer? I couldn't find any way to do that on my EM5 Mark II. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to do that. Uh, because when you go into bracketing mode, it automatically sets the shutter mode, which is not a self timer. Um, so unfortunately, I don't know of any way to do it. I believe it goes in silent mode and high speed shutter, right? Silent high speed shutter, and there's no way to change it that I know of. It would be nice. The best option really is to use a remote shutter release if you're worried about moving the camera or shaking the camera when you push the shutter button. So I use this one, which isn't too expensive. This is the Pixie Pro TW. Seriously, how I got a pass on the eye exam, I don't have no idea. TW283. So it's a Pixie Pro TW283. It comes in a lot of different forms. I think you need the one that has the 2.5 millimeter jack that will fit the EM5 Mark II, if I recall correctly. or it might, let me look at it. Okay, the EM5 Mark II. Damn it, I can't even see. Yeah, the EM5 Mark II uses a USB, so you can get the same one that works with the EM10 Mark II. It'll work with this as well. So there'll be a standard 3.5 millimeter jack out to a USB. Well, not from here. This is the trigger. There's a receiver that comes with this separately. And then, like I said, this was, I think I paid $35. You know, the way prices are now, this might be like $40 now, but that's going to be your only option to not touch the camera when the focus bracketing starts. And this will actually let you set self timers, and it has all kinds of functions built in that, you know, like intervalometer and some other stuff. I rarely use it for any of that stuff. I use it just to, you know, take a picture, right? It also has the half press button here, so I can half press to focus if I want, or fully press to take the exposure. So it works really well. Just standard AA or AAA batteries, and you're good to go. And it also works with the OM1 as well. So what I did is I bought a 2.5 millimeter jack adapter. It actually plugs in on this side. You can see I use it time to time because I think the OM1 remote shutter release is, my God, that thing's like $150 or something. It's not cheap. And, you know, I think it does have more functionality, you know, and it, as it should, for being a dedicated remote release shutter. But this will do probably 90% or more of what you need. And that's the only way. And Ed, oh, Peter, good to see you. And Ed says, I've not seen much beginner information on the OM1. Although it's not a beginner's camera, it seems like beginners are buying it or people upgrading it and having trouble. Okay. I can do that. I think there's a few videos out already. Not by me, but from others. We probably won't see one from Robin Wong because apparently he's not buying it. Or the Micro Four Thirds guy. He has a great little channel. And I shouldn't say little because my channel's little, right? I just have a small channel, but I think Peter put out a settings video, and even Jimmy over there, I think, has one, but he's not really a settings kind of guy, generally speaking. He's more of a photography guy, right? Show you how to take pictures. So it's too bad Robin won't have one on hand to be able to make settings videos as well. And you know, Maddie's not going to get one, and obviously, but you know who has one is Emily Taplin. Hopefully I pronounced her name right, but she's an Olympus ambassador. She has a settings video, and Emily Talpin, I'm sorry. And also, there were a few videos out by OM Systems. They do live streams, like these 1 hour live streams, but they cover very specific topics. And all of them are really good, with the one caveat that you have to be pretty familiar with the camera already, right? And how to use it. There's no step-by-step, turn the camera on, insert the memory. You know, there's not like this very granular type tutorials that I used to do with the EM10. And I didn't do too many for the EM1 Mark III when I got it, because I had the same feeling that this is like a professional grade camera. Why would a beginner buy such a camera? but I get it now. You know, a lot of beginners, maybe it may even be their first camera. Um, they're buying these, and I wouldn't discourage a beginner from buying a flagship camera, because if you can afford it, fit not well, I shouldn't say if you can afford it, but if it's in your budget, right? If you budget for it and you want it, and get it. Get a flagship camera. There's very little downside to it, and when you first get it, just put it in program mode, go out and shoot. But then as you if you really want to learn how to use a camera, you will, right? Doesn't matter how many features it has. If you want to learn it, you will learn it. it and hopefully, I can be maybe one resource for those looking to learn to use the camera that maybe not familiar with using a legitimate camera, because a lot of us, we grew up with film cameras, and early in the digital age, when we were getting the very first digital cameras. Some of us were early adopters. Certainly, a lot of us bought the compact cameras, and which I still use time to time. I like those cameras, but uh, we have a certain familiarity and desire to learn how to use cameras and take pictures and learn about photography. Um, so I can see people buying like an OM1 for the first time, and then of course there's a lot of people that are coming from other camera systems, right? That are just totally new to Olympus or OM systems in general, and may not realize all of the really deep features and functions that the camera's capable of, and that's what got me to switch from my Nikon D750 originally to the EM10. Uh, well, I wouldn't say I switched. I bought the D750. I used that for a couple of years for my pro work, and then I bought an EM10 without any research. I just wanted a small camera with an interchangeable lens that took decent pictures, and it was between that and the Fuji X-T10 when I went shopping, and I just liked the look of the EM10 a little better than the X-T10. But it was the EM10 Mark II that got me to convert. So, not too dissimilar from Jimmy's story, where he bought an EM5 Mark I while he was shooting Canon because he just wanted a camera to take with him everywhere, right? And then eventually he ended up switching because when he tried out the EM1 Mark II, maybe it was Mark I, but he tried out an EM1, and that's what got him to switch completely over. But for me, it was the EM10 Mark II that got me to completely switch over, because it was small, lightweight, and took excellent pictures. Certainly, uh, you can get better images with a full frame or medium format or AP. I mean, you can get better pictures with a better sensor, but under what conditions, right? And those conditions that you shoot in are normally not very good anyway. So if you're taking a shot in low light, whether you're using a micro four thirds or a full frame, the image is not going to be great. If you want really good images from a camera, you need to take care of the settings. And if you don't have enough light, bring a flash or tripod or something. No matter what kind of camera you're using, low light is the enemy of photography in digital cameras, regardless of sensor. And I can appreciate people using full frame cameras for their event photography, where the light's constantly changing from very bright to very dark. But that's one thing, right? There's so many genres in photography where just any camera will do. Your cell phone, compact camera, medium format, whatever. Any camera will do in most situations. It's just you have to know how to use the camera to its full potential, and you also have to expand your skill set to your full potential of what you're capable of doing. And then photography then becomes more of an art than it is about gear and science, right? It's more of an art. And that's where I find my my passion and enjoyment from photography is being able to look at a scene and get the exact image that I want. I always tell people it's not going to be a great image. It's not going to win any awards. It's not epic, but it's definitely an image that I took with my own skill set, my own camera, and uh, was able to achieve exactly what I wanted. And that's all I want from a camera, and that's all I expect from myself, right? So really, the demands of photography are really more on the photographer than the gear itself. Is how good is your skill set? How good, how much knowledge do you have, and how much creativity and enthusiasm and inspiration can you have in yourself or find from others to help you to get out there and shoot. Um, and I can tell you that joining the local photography club with David Crooks um, was probably the best thing I've ever done in my photography, because I get out there with other like-minded people and we're out there shooting and just having a good time. And that to me is what photography is all about. It's connecting not only with nature and your scene and your environment. It doesn't have to be nature. It can be even your cityscape, right? It's connecting with your environment and surroundings and where you live, and connecting with other people. And photography has played a big role in that for me, to more appreciate where I live and the people that I meet, right? So uh, I hope that you get the same fulfillment from photography as I do in that way. Because I love gear. I love gear. I've always been a nerd, and uh, my whole life, I was a computer geek, and I ran a business in computers and selling parts. So I wasn't just selling whole systems. I was selling the individual components in the computer. So I had to become, I had to be very geeky and understand what components work together or fit best together. Anyhow, that's a whole nother story. And so I get into gear as much as I do the photography itself. And I look at these two things separately, right? There's the gear, but then there's photography. And photography allowed me to put those two things together, right? My nerdy, geeky side together with my desire and passion for connecting with where I live, what I'm doing, who I meet, the people that I meet. It allowed me to make that connection. And and that's why I've been doing this for so long. I would say photography is really been the only thing in my life that I have done for more than just a couple of years. Because I've tried, I don't know about you guys, but I've tried so many different things, right? To find myself, so to speak, or to find something that I can enjoy. And, like I learned to play piano, and that kind of died off. Then I played guitar for a while, then that died off. I tried some art. I used to draw. I even did a little bit of painting. All of these things just faded away because it just didn't keep my interest. And they were very, I mean, if you think about it, they didn't have that nerdy side and uh, emotional or people side to it to put them together. Because, when you're sitting there drawing or painting, you're not really engaging with other people unless you're painting a person, but then they got to sit still, right? Uh, Guitar and piano, and I switched from piano to guitar because piano, and these are if you're going to learn an instrument, if you're young, okay, or it doesn't matter how old you are, but if you want to learn an instrument, these are the two you should pick to be a little bit more social, right? Because a lot of places you go will have a piano, and a guitar, you can take that with you anywhere. You can go to the beach, doesn't matter, and you can go to a pawn shop and get a $50 guitar and have a good time, right? But I have no singing voice. I have no rhythm. it's it's it just so I just could never get good at it, and partially I didn't try hard enough, and it just wasn't my path. And when I got into photography, initially what drew me was the gear, right? I mean, my desire was to take pictures of my dogs. That's really what got me started. But what kept me in it was the uh, being able to connect, working with the nerdy, geeky side with the more emotional side, and uh, and that's what's kept me going this long. I mean, yeah, we all have our ups and downs, right? Where we might hit a wall, and just pictures are just not satisfying. But it's when I run into those kind of walls, I know that it's just a moment in time that I'm not I'm not inspired. I'm not enthusiastic about the craft. I know it because deep down it's something I really enjoy. And deep down inside I know that in a day or two, in a week or two, that I will be back up to my level of enjoyment and passion for photography, because it is something that it's not just a passing hobby for me, right? It's something that I really enjoy. So if you hit a wall or you're feeling, like you're not inspired, it's okay. You know, um, give it a day, a week or two, maybe a month, and come back to it if you want to. If you don't come back to it, then maybe it's not the right thing for you, right? There's so many things in life that you can do. It doesn't have to be photography. It just happens to work out for me and something I enjoy. Um, but there's so many things. Maybe guitar is your thing, uh, some people they love watches. I remember Arthur Leyenberger. He used to come into the chat time to time, and he's into watches. He did a video on this watch actually, um, which was great. And I like watches, but I don't have a passion for it. I just like having a few different kinds of watches that are kind of interesting. But anyhow, let me catch up on the chat here. So I think I was rambling there for, God, feels like an hour. Yeah, Enrique, of course it's okay. A lot of the videos are can be taken generically, even though I might be using an Olympus camera. Uh, Certainly, but yeah, Enrique, he's a Fuji shooter, and he watches my videos for a long time. My God, you might have been with me from the beginning. Nothing wrong with being professional and formal with your clothes. Gives a sense of authority. Yeah, fake it till you make it, right? um, System of Chores says, still waiting for my OM1. A lady on my trip to Romania last week had one. Very frustrating. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, I've seen it. I've heard that it's been in stock. Uh, but then it's out of stock again right away. It's like they get their shipments in, but they're already pre-sold. So it's a shame because I hate to see the momentum from the OM1 get hindered by a lack of supply. Um, and then going from Fuji to Olympus was a huge change. Oh, I didn't know you shot Fuji before because Ed used to work over at Olympus. I don't know if you wanted that shared publicly or not. Sorry, but yeah. And I like my Fuji. I have to take it out more. I meant to go out with David Tellett. Probably have to be next week now. This week's almost over. But we wanted to go out and just shoot our Fuji cameras. He bought an X Pro 3, which was really was a good fit for him because he's primarily a film shooter, and but he likes that optical viewfinder with the option for the digital. I think it was a good fit for him. John Follows is here. Good to see you. And let's see. Interestingly, the lady in the group on my Romania trip was not using the bird tracking on OM1, even though 75% of the trip was birds and often in flight. Well, I mean, you know, bird photography, especially birds in flight, is like 90% skill. And if you already have that skill set, the tracking is helpful, but it may not help somebody that's already really good anyway. For me, where my hit rate was like 40-50%, getting the bird tracking brought it up to 80-90% at least. But maybe tell her to watch my video with my bird tracking settings. Or better, who has a really good video is Matthew Gasquet over on Mirrorless Lessons. I think that's the name of his channel. He has an awesome OM1 focusing, how to focus using the OM1 tutorial. Oh, Roberto, can't sleep. Man, you've cranked out a few. You got your Tippy Tail Tuesday videos. I need to catch up on those. I've been watching a lot of videos on lenses and aperture and stuff, so I could try to convert my classroom material to video material and see who did a good presentation of it. There was some good presentations on aperture. Mine is sort of a culmination of a lot of different videos, or just the parts that I thought were good in other videos I may have adapted to mine. Yeah, I'm with you, Plato. I was playing with my original OM1 yesterday. Um, I'll be right back. I put this on my shelf for some reason, my fireplace mantle actually, because I thought it was broken, but it seems to be fine. I'm sure the meter's not working, and the seals are a little deteriorated, so there might be some light leaks and stuff. But I think I'll put a roll of film in here and go out and shoot. The lens is broken though. The aperture doesn't stop all the way down. It stops at f5.6. It's a little bit of fungus in there anyway. And I don't need the meter. I can just meter a couple of times using my phone. Then from there, I can just eyeball it, right? F8 and be there, so they say. Let's see. Does the timer work? Oh no, that's broken. Not that I use the self timer. So this camera has some problems, but it sounds like the shutter is okay. That's one. 1/25th. Let's see what it sounds like at 1,000. I don't know. Yeah, it seems to be fine. But yeah, I was just I took this off my fireplace mantle and was playing with it, and I was like, such a beautiful camera, and it's actually, I mean, it's heavy, but it's actually very, very compact for what it is. 35 millimeter camera. Uh, and very simple. You just adjust the shutter speed and aperture right here, and then you adjust the ISO for the metering. But like I said, I think the meter's broke anyway, so I don't care about that anymore. It doesn't have exposure comp on it, though. Since the meter's not working, what difference, right? But still, my OM2 S has exposure comp on it. And I did like using that time to time rather than having to adjust, because the meter and everything works on that camera too. But that's the original OM1 for those of you that may not be familiar with the original film days. And there's the new OM1, the digital version. Nice little homage to the OM1 brand and name, although they're not even close. I think this weighs more than the new one. Amazing. But yeah, just amazing. And that's why I can go out with a film camera and still enjoy photography, because it doesn't take anything away from the photography itself. If anything, it amplifies it. It makes it even more enjoyable shooting film on the photography side. But you have to balance, your own personal patience to develop and print and scan all those things, because it's not only more time consuming in the field, but when you get home and have to develop it, then scan them, then bring them in and edit. Oh my God. Versus a digital camera, you're one and done, so to speak, right? You got the shot, you come home, load them into your computer. Process is very fast, so you get that instant gratification with digital. But with film, I think you get more of that. You get a much more satisfaction once you're done with the entire process. The rewards are much more satisfying because it was a completely manual process and organic in a lot of ways, right? So it's definitely a lost art. It's nice to see a little bit of a resurgence in film. I don't know how big that resurgence is relative to digital cameras, but it's nice to see people getting back into film or enjoying film. And it's not about the look, right, of the image all the time. A lot of times it's about the process and just enjoying the process of photography, and then whatever images you get from it are just more satisfying and more rewarding, and you'll be a richer person. Not financially, because it's freaking expensive now, but I think you'll be a richer person with film photography. Okay. Oh, hey Ben, how are you? Yeah, it's been a while since you've been in. Ben at the Narrowband channels here. He's an awesome astrophotographer and has great videos on his channel, astrophotography, and lots of good videos for Olympus digital cameras specifically to help you with your astrophotography. And Giga Color Space Scapes. Let's see. Hi, Rob. Would you ever take a dip in Belhaven? I would take a portrait of you when they let us swim in the. No, I would not go into the water. The water, that's not our natural environment. I used to love the beach, but I never went in the water. Not since that movie Jaws when I was a kid. And I don't know. It just, especially the Potomac is just, you can't see anything what's going on. You don't know what's under there. Never mind that they've destroyed all of the marshland, all around the Potomac River. So the water is just filthy, both organically and chemically, in my opinion. I mean, I'm not a scientist. I haven't tested the water. Maybe it's perfectly fine, but it doesn't. My perception is that it's not clean, and I would not get in there. I see lots of, one thing I might try is like you see those surfboards where people stand on them and go, it's paddle boarding, I think what it's called, or maybe kayaking. I could do that maybe in the Potomac. Because if you fall in, you have your life vest on and you can get right back in or back on. That I'd be okay with. I'm not afraid of water. I just wouldn't want to be swimming in it for any length of time for multiple reasons. My God, I was in California one time and the beaches are beautiful there. And I jumped in the water to swim across to this other island that was there. It was not even 100 yards away, right? Halfway there, man, I freaked out. There was something wrapped, like there was this long seaweed that wrapped up around my legs and almost pulled me down. And that was just seaweed. What if it was like an octopus or something? So, yeah, I'm not a swimmer, and that's one of the main deterrences I had against doing the Ironman competition back when I was more in shape, right? I was like, you want us to swim like a couple of miles in the water? Open water? Are you nuts? I said, I don't mind the biking and the running, but the swimming in open sea, oh, no, not for me. Oh, that's interesting. Ended up being a sound engineer. Wow. Oh yeah, Ben, I saw you were wearing a pretty nice watch in that video when you were talking about this OM1 sensor. It looked like a Seiko. I forget the model. Looked like a Seiko 5 though, one of the new ones to me. Maybe you can confirm what watch you were wearing in that video. Let me know. I'm curious. It was a pretty nice watch. It was bigger with the big numbers on it. I think it had a black dial with white digits. And let's see. Wow, you congrats on your new camera, Harold. Picked up the OM1 Saturday, traded a Fuji X-T4. Wow, that's a pretty heavy trade. Because everyone praises the X-T4, which is probably in terms of image quality not too dissimilar from my X-T30 that I have. But I know what you mean. The Fuji system, once you're in it, it's not cheap, man. Their lenses are pretty pricey. Well, I guess lenses are pricey in general. Uh, but I didn't care for the dials. I'm not like I don't mind the dials on a film camera, but on a digital camera, the dials seem a little cumbersome to use. And it's not as ergonomic as the OM1. The OM1, man, fits your hand like a glove, right? Whereas that XT4 was was a lot like just holding a regular camera without a real grip. Um, this is my EM5 Mark II, by the way. I have this out for some reason. Somebody had a question about it, so I was looking up and trying it on my own camera before I answered. Oh, okay. All right, thanks, Ed. Yeah, I it just slipped out of my mouth, and the second it did, I was like, "Oh, wait, I really shouldn't share publicly things people tell me in emails and things. I'm very careful with that normally, but that just kind of slipped out. Yeah, the 51.8 lenses are very common. I have like 3 or 4 of them, so I'm not worried about that one. I have a couple more that work fine. And they were so cheap. They're like $30. I mean, they cost nothing. Oh, thanks, David. No, I have several 1.8s, 51.8s. I don't have a 35 though, but so I might take you up on that one because I have the 24, I have the 50, and I have a zoom lens at 35 to 100, but I don't have a 35 prime. That's cool. David's one of the most generous people I've ever met. He lives here locally to me, and we've gone out a few times. We certainly go out to the local photo club together, and he's just practically given me cameras. You know, the Pen FT that I have, and the Trip 35. I mean, I tried to recuperate or give a little bit back to him, you know, uh, but essentially he was fine just giving them to me for free, which was I'm so grateful because I just love those cameras to death. The Pen FT in particular is one of my favorite film cameras. And great shame that OM System do not have regular customer priority memberships like British Airways, Silver Execum. Yeah, hopefully I don't know what I'm. In the past when it was Olympus, I always got great service because I've had to send in for warranty stuff a couple of times, but 3 times to be exact, and it's always come back right away, like barely 24 hours on site at their place, and the only delay was shipping back and forth. But I don't know how it is now. I've gotten mixed reports. It could partially be due to the supply chain, right? Things are just they don't have the parts to fix things as much anymore. I don't know. Or maybe it's a more systemic problem with OM systems, but your guess is as good as mine. Yeah, yeah. I think on my OM1, I think the problem I'm the meter probably works, but I think it's the battery compartment. I mean, you can't get batteries for it anymore, so you have to buy an adapter. Let me take out the maybe not it's not this one. Oh, this one might work actually. Because I have another OM camera. It might be my OM2 because I have about 4 of these altogether of these vintage film cameras. Uh One of them, the little brown wire that connects to the battery is broken. And it's such a fine, tiny wire. It's almost like a freaking surface mount chip. It's so thin. Uh, I I I don't have the soldering skill to attach it back to the battery, the battery compartment. And so I was thinking about just maybe using some electrical tape to hold it on there, but um, this one might actually work. Let me see. Where's my battery box? Oh, here. I keep I keep different little toolboxes for different things, and then I label it. Let's see. I have a. Yeah, this one might work. So I have those. This one, the voltage is a little bit off, but I just want to see if it works. Do you guys care at all? I don't know. Since we're here, why not? Let's see if I can get this to. God, I hate this bubble pack that it comes in. I can't get it. There we go. And then battery tester. I don't know how old this thing is. Let's see. This is a CR something. Well, it doesn't matter. If I get anything out of this, I'll try it. No, this battery's dead. Oh, wait. Yeah. It does have a little juice. All right. If this works, I'll go out and take pictures with it today. Definitely. Otherwise, I have a separate light meter. Nope. Yeah, I got nothing. Yeah. Anyway, I won't bore you guys with me swapping batteries and stuff. I don't know. Now I got to bug up my butt about this. Let me try one other battery. See if this one has any juice. Okay, this one does. Nah, I got nothing. So, yeah, most likely the meter's dead in here anyway. But it doesn't matter. If the light's not changing too much, I can usually set it once using my cell phone light meter, some app, and then just adjust it by eye from there. Or in post-processing, right? Oops. Okay. Damn it. Once you start wearing these, you can't take them off the rest of the day. Robin Wong. Oh my goodness. Hi, Robin. How are you? Good to see you. I'm assuming everybody knows Robin Wong, but if not, he has a terrific channel on photography under his name. So definitely check him out if you haven't already. There was I saw that video from, who is it? Casey over at Camera Conspiracies. Threw out a big apology. That was good of him to do that. And Robin, of course, off the initial video was very gracious in his response, right? He was just like, hey, we're cool, right? And let's see. Kaylin says, oh, did you guys see the outlet sale? I got a text yesterday from the outlet sale people. And then I went online to see what they had. And there wasn't really anything in particular. Everything was sold out already. Right? So 20% off right now, anything in here. So I was, in particular, I was interested in the lenses. But it's like they raised the prices a little bit, then gave you 20% off. There's a very famous store chain locally here. I won't say their name. but they advertise like these huge discounts, right? Then you go there and they jack the prices up and then give the discount. And it's like, ultimately, it's not that good a deal. But there are a couple of good deals here to be had. The 45 f1.8 is a good deal at any price, really. But 20% off, so that would make it around $280 for this one. But let's say you want the 25 f1.8. That's a good deal for that one. Oh, that's in stock now. Crap. Maybe let's find a good deal in stock. Hold on. That bitch was not in stock. Excuse me. That thing was not on in stock yesterday. How about this guy? This is a good deal. 30 millimeter macro. Come on. In stock. What the hell? Do they have a Pen F in here? I'll buy that instantly. No Pen Fs. But let me give you an example of what I mean. Where's the M5 Mark III? EM5 Mark III, $959. Brand new right now, it's on sale for $899. But 20% off this would make it closer to about $870. So you're only saving about $100 to buy a used one. I guess that's not bad though. I don't see anything I want. Where's the 300 millimeter f4 Pro? Because that was on their site yesterday. EM10 Mark II. How about an EM10 Mark II? I need to replace mine. There's one. Yeah, that's the Mark I. Man, $480 for a Mark I? Are you got to be kidding me. And this is a good deal. $239, then 20% off that. That's not bad. Oops. Yeah, I agree with you, Caitlin. I'm sorry. I was just looking at your comment. You have a Nicomat. Wow. I just don't see anything I want here. EM1 Mark II with the... no, I wouldn't do that. EM1 Mark III reconditioned, 20% off. So that's about $280, which would make that... with tax and everything about $1,200. That's too much in today's market. For that camera, you can get that for under $1,000 all day long. Okay, so out of all this, the only really good deal I see was the 25 millimeter. Where is it? This is a good deal. If you can get a 25 f1.8 for less than $300, that's a good deal. This is fair. This is the only good deal I see. EM10 Mark III. Take $100 off that. That's okay. Yeah, if I didn't already have like two 25 millimeters, I would get this. That's a good deal though, I think. Let's see what eBay is asking for it. And Olympus. Oh well, there's one for $180. 100. Oh, okay. Go just buy it on eBay. It's cheaper. Holy crap. What happened? Let me tell you something. Let me get back to a normal screen. what is all this? Oh, this is my toolbox. Um, the 25 millimeter f1.8 is one of the sharpest lenses Olympus makes, and the focal length, it's the nifty 50 equivalent, right? At 1.8, it's really the perfect focal length to give you just enough depth of field when you want it, or not, right? You can stop it down, and when you stop it down, that lens is so sharp. I think it would stand up to that would be that's a really good lens to use for high res shot mode, because it's that sharp. Because some of the lenses, particularly the kit lenses, obviously so. Even if you use high res shot mode, you're not going to get a whole much more detail because the lens really can't resolve 80 megapixels worth of pixels. But that 25 millimeter f1.8, you will have no problem. I'll have to do some shots. I'll do some shots like that, some handheld high res shot modes, or high res shot modes in general, with the 25 f1.8, and show you, especially if you do panoramas, because the thing about the 25 millimeter is it gives you a really almost perfect field of view where nothing in the image is going to be distorted, and and that's why the 50 millimeter is so popular, right, on full frame cameras, is because it gives you this field of view that virtually has no distortion in terms of your perspective of how you see things with your natural eye. So when you go to do panoramas, either stitching up or down, left and right, the stitching software has a very easy time of putting things together, right? And you can do less, you don't have to do quite as much overlap with the 25 millimeter as you would, say, a 7 millimeter. If you don't overlap a wide angle lens like half and half, the stitching software is going to have a hard time because the corners get distorted. But a 25 millimeter, that field of view is virtually perfect with no perspective distortions, and the stitching software just puts that all together, just like a puzzle, right? Just everything fits perfectly, and you don't have to overlap quite as much. So in theory, you can get a high resolution image with a pano stitching with fewer images, right? So it's really an amazing lens. I think Robin Wong will back me up on this, right? The 25 f1.8 is a rockin' lens. Where did my mouse go? Here. Oh wow! So you're doing underwater stuff with your TG6. I mean, that's what it was kind of made for, right? uh, I mean, it was made to do it all, but it was made specifically to handle underwater very well. And let's see. Ed says, I picked up the Sigma 31.4 and the 56 1.4 for MFT. Both are really nice lenses and inexpensive. I bought used, which really reduced the cost. Yeah, and they're not expensive lenses to begin with, right? I mean, I know this 56 1.4, I've seen that on sale for like $400, brand new. So used, I bet, if I check eBay, uh, what is a Sigma 50 56, right? 1.4 MFT. Brand new, $400, right? The 31.4, 189. Wow, that's pretty kick butt. I think Robin just did a review on this lens, right? Or was it the 16? I can't remember. It was a Sigma lens though, and you said not to buy it. Okay, brand new for $400. Brand new. It's $360 here. Wow, from a top-rated seller and free shipping. Oh, that's for a Canon mount though. Let's see sold items. Let's see what they're actually selling for. $339. Wow. $218. Oh, that's the 30. Man, that's pretty kick butt. Here's one for 282, so $300 used. And wow, that's pretty good. That reminds me, I did buy a new lens. Let me just catch up on the chat real quick. $25 is too, yeah, I think brand new is too expensive, but for $200 used, if you can get one in excellent condition, man, it's an awesome lens. At $200, it's a steal. Oh, John Truman's here. Hey, John, good to see you. Oh, thank you, Sister Matura. Yeah, if I ever go to London, I'll look you up, definitely. But you know me, I haven't traveled much. And here's some feedback on the 56. It's sharper than my 25 f1.2 and 40 to 150. I would expect it to be sharper than the 40 to 150 because the 40 to 150 is a zoom lens. And I'm surprised it's sharper than your 25 1.2 though, because that's a pro grade lens from Olympus designed specifically for micro four thirds. So that's interesting. I mean, there's more to a lens than just sharpness, right? We have to look at all the aberrations that are created by it or not created, right? But that's interesting. Scott Mumford, good to see you. And okay, so let's talk about my new lens. Where is it? So last week we were talking about lenses or something, and then I got a bad case of gas because this lens went on sale. And it's not for micro four thirds, but oh my God, it's so huge, right? It's for my Panasonic S5. And with this lens hood, I wish I could get more light on it. With this lens hood, it's ginormous. You know, the lens hood is almost as big as the freaking lens. Let me take the lens hood off. But this lens is bigger than I thought it'd be from what I could see. Like here's the OM1 with the kit lens, but this is about the same size as the 25 millimeter. Where's my 25? It should be right here on my desk. Where's my 25? Well, anyway, so I've been talking about this camera a little bit, my S5. I've had this for a couple years, and it hasn't gotten any field time at all, hardly. I think until this year, meaning last month, I took this camera out for maybe one photo walk. And then I used it on three photo jobs. Well, not photo, I used it for video. I used it on 3 video jobs, and I took it on one photo walk. And that was it. And that was like over a year ago. Other than that, you know, I bought this camera brand new and didn't use it. So I'm like, well, now the OM1 is out and the video is really good on the OM1. I don't really need this anymore. So I looked at selling it. And I'm like, my God, it's only been 2 years and I'm going to have to sell it for half what I paid for it. And it's hardly been used. So I'm like, you know what? Screw that. I'm just going to use the heck out of it now before I sell it. So at least I feel like I got some money's worth out of it, because those 3 photo jobs didn't even pay for this camera, or 3 video jobs. It didn't even pay for the camera. So I think, I mean, if I had used it for a lot of video jobs and it paid for itself already, then yeah, maybe I could justify selling it. But it hasn't even paid for itself yet. So I'm going to get it to pay for itself by just using the heck out of it now. And I might even do some tutorials on this, right? So don't anybody get the impression that I've been selling out or anything. It's just, this is a camera I bought a couple of years ago for video work, for my video jobs. And but now if I actually start using it, might as well, you know, help people out that have this camera, because it's actually, the image quality out of this is pretty amazing. It's really just so crisp at base ISO. There's not a hint of noise, and the sharpness from the kit lens was really amazing. But now that I have this 50mm prime, this is I'm sorry, I haven't even talked about this lens, a 50mm f1.8, and I got it on sale. Plus I had some other discounts, right? The cash back you get from Amazon and stuff. I got this lens for like $300 all in, you know? So I'm like $300 for this. And this by all accounts is an excellent lens. And from what I can tell so far, it is performing to expectations, because I can crop in, my God, to almost nothing and it's still tack sharp. So yeah, so I got all the full frame goodness with this 50mm prime. But my God, when I put this lens hood on it, it's like it feels like a bazooka compared to my, you know, Micro Four Third cameras. Because if you know, my favorite combination now, right now, is, where is my lens? Oh, here it is. My God, I had this sitting on the edge of a box, like, but look how beautiful this is, man. This Pen F with the 25mm, and the lens hood isn't, you know, the lens is too big in my opinion, but it's nowhere near the size of this honking thing. But oh my God, this combination here, this is pure joy. And I can't tell you how happy this makes me, holding this camera, just holding it, not even taking a picture yet. But then I know how great the images are from this camera as well, especially with all of the JPEG controls for color and black and white, and these dials are just awesome. And these are selling for like $1,000 used right now, selling for almost what this cost brand new when I bought it. I can't believe it. But let me tell you something. When you make a quality product, you know, it should hold its value. And fortunately, the Pen F, in my opinion, I think it's very fortunate, or indicative of what a quality product this is. Fortunate, I shouldn't say fortunate. It's very indicative of the kind of quality camera that this Pen F is, with respect to other cameras Olympus has put out. I mean, a lot of Olympus cameras are awesome, but this is in a class by itself, in my opinion, in terms of build quality. And I really hope that they come out with another one, you know, like a Pen F2. It's going to be a niche camera, so don't make a whole lot of them, right? You don't need to make a whole lot of them. You're not going to sell them. But if you make just a few, for those of us that love this form factor, but more importantly, love the build quality that you put into this particular camera, you will sell out. if you don't make too many. If you make too many, yeah, it's, it's good for us, but I mean, I hope they do. And I use it now with the little half leather case. Just makes it a little more comfortable to hold and gives it that kind of classy look. I don't know if you can see. Let me get some light on it. But this combination, it makes me want to go out and shoot right now. This combination, this is a pure guilty trip photography type thing. Like, I have this fabulous camera, takes great images, but it's just not getting any use. So, but I hate this freaking lens hood. My God, it's so big. But I'm scared to shoot without it because I don't want to jack up the out front element. But maybe I'll do a photo walk with this combination. It's just not very discreet because you're walking around with a bazooka. Oh, Randy's here. Hey, Randy. Um, yeah, stabilization is not as good on really any other camera system. Maybe Panasonic's okay, but stabilization, it's just a pure physics, right? You have a bigger, larger sensor and you put stabilization on it, and just the sheer mass of the sensor and trying to move that around and keep it going um, makes it more challenging versus Micro Four Thirds. They can use uh, they don't have to fight the pure physics of the mass of the sensor itself. This S5 supposedly has 5 or 6 stops of stabilization built in, but I know in practice for video, it's not even close to what my Olympuses can do. Any of them really. Um, Certainly not as good as my EM1 Mark III. Not even close. Maybe this is close to an EM10 Mark II in terms of video stabilization. Maybe. I haven't tested them side by side, but I can't rely on the video stabilization uh, for much more than very simple panning and very simple handheld movements. The stabilization is just good enough for that, but it's not like virtually a gimbal like you get with your EM1 Mark III or OM1 or EM5 Mark III. Those cameras, man, you can really get, if you really have good technique, you can almost fake gimbal movements with these. It's that good. You have to be good. You have to have a good skill set too. But I would think no matter how good your skill set is with this, you're not going to fake a gimbal movement with this because the stabilization is just not as good. But God, look at the size of that freaking. When a few people saw me at the photo meet last week with this camera, and they were like, "Wow, look at the size of that freaking lens on there," and it's just a 50 millimeter f1.8. I get why they made it this size because it's part of a trinity of primes that Panasonic put out, and one of the key things when you put out primes that are video centric, you have to match the weight, the filter size, the overall length. Everything has to match so that when you're in the field or on studio, right, you can swap lenses without having to adjust any of the other gear that might be around it. So that's why they make these things. Like, this is probably bigger than it really needs to be, but they did it so that the size, weight, and filters and everything are matched in the trinity of primes that they put out. Because I think they have the 35 and the 85 as well, and they're exactly the same size as this. And yeah, there's and there's no focus breathing with this lens, another video type centric feature. So, I mean, I get why they made it so large, but uh, you know, at $300, I couldn't resist. So, anyway, I might do some. I'm gonna definitely do some more shooting. Whether I do videos or vlogs with it, I don't know. It's kind of a beast. Gigafish is asking my opinion on the XH2S. Let me just see if I missed anything else. Oh, wait. Andrew, you want my S5? That's the thing, Andrew. I'd sell it to you, but I'd have to sell it to you for what the market's going for, right? Which is like $1,000. I just can't do it. But just hit me up a little later. Of course, you probably don't want it after I put like 100,000 clicks on it, right? I don't know. I have to give some thought because it's really a fabulous camera. That the autofocus is a little bit off though. I need to shoot with it more to kind of make sure I'm using the autofocus properly because I'm missing focus sometimes, and I'm gonna assume it's me right now, that I'm the problem and why it's missing focus. But I was trying to do some shots yesterday for the aperture video. Specifically, if you look at the shots where I took a picture of the front of the lens in my aperture video and the side for how to identify what the aperture is on a lens, I used the S5 to take those. I think I used the S5, and I was having trouble focusing on the front of the lens. One of the unique qualities that I don't think gets talked about enough with the Olympus lenses, a lot of them anyway, particularly the Pro Glass, you get very, very close focusing distance with those. This lens here, my God, I think the close focusing distance is just barely. I don't think I can even. Yeah, it's about this much. Yeah, it's not doing that right there. That's pretty rough. That's almost a meter. I don't know what it measures out exactly, but it's at least 2 feet, more than half a meter, but less than a meter. Let's see what the Olympus. This is not a pro lens, but let's see. Let me get it out of manual mode. All right. Yeah, look. Oh, right about there. So, less than a foot, less than a third of a meter with this one. So, like I said, and that's not even a good example. My 12 to 40 Pro, most, and a few other lenses, man, the close focusing distance is freaking amazing. Okay, let me get back to Gigafish's question. So I think the XH2S, and it's what, $2,500, right? I haven't seen one in person or held one in my hand, so I have to reserve final judgment because I put a lot of weight into the ergonomics of the camera. But it looks like it has excellent ergonomics with a good deep grip, good battery life, and I'm trying to remember the other specs. It looks like a really good flagship camera from Fujifilm. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with it other than, the few reviews I saw, people said there's bugs in the system that supposedly be worked out by the time it's in production. Because heck, my OM1 had a bug in it that was finally fixed in a firmware update with the screen freezing. I mean, it didn't happen often. Like, it's happened like 3 times out of the 100,000 clicks I have on this thing. But, these things are all computers now, and a firmware update is almost mandatory. Mandatory is not the word. It's inevitable. There's going to be a firmware update, right? For any camera that comes out nowadays to fix bugs. If I was in the Fuji system, like if I was hardcore, like if 6 years ago I had bought the XT10 instead of the EM10, I'd probably be hardcore into Fuji right now, right? And its entire system. Possibly. What really got me into Micro Four Thirds or converted me permanently to it was the compact size and weight. And Fuji doesn't really meet that same level of compactness and lightweightness in the lens system as the Micro Four Thirds does. But let's just say I had bought an XT10 6 years ago instead, because I had the two cameras right next to each other, EM10 and XT10, and I just went off the looks at the time. I said, I like how the EM10 looks better, so I bought that. And I would be freaking ecstatic right now because that XH2S looks amazing. Particularly the video specs look amazing now that I'm really into video. But even the photography aspects with the subject tracking that it has now, assuming that works well, and it seems like it does. And the form factor, I like the form factor better than the XT4, and the price point's pretty decent. It's only like $300 more than an OM1 with at least on the video side, better specs, right? So I don't know. I can't remember all the specs now, like the EVF and all of that. But I would be very happy right now if I was a Fuji guy to get an XH2S. I would not hesitate. If I was looking at any camera system to go into right now, it would still be Micro Four Thirds. But if I was already in a system, I'd be very excited right now as a Canon shooter, as a Nikon shooter, as a Fuji shooter. Who else is out there? Sony. I would be excited if I was in any system. Well, Sony hasn't come out with, I don't follow Sony at all. Have they come out with anything exciting lately? But let's talk about Canon, right? They just came out with the R7 and R10. Awesome little cameras, right? And Fuji, the XH2S, awesome camera. And then Nikon Z9 and the Z7 II and the Z6 II. And I mean, these are really, really fabulous cameras from these camera manufacturers. And if I was in that system, I would be so excited right now. But yeah, there's nothing about the XH2S that would make me want to switch, right? Money aside, let's say money no object, right? Let's say I don't care that I have, a fortune in Micro Four Thirds glass and bodies right now. Put that aside. Let's say I could sell all that and just go into Fuji and buy whatever I want in Fuji. I wouldn't do it because it's not a compact system overall. And it's not offering specifically any kind of, I know the image quality is not going to be significantly better either for the kind of photography I do. I don't want to, everyone has a different tolerance for that, I guess. If there's like one dead pixel in their image, it's like, yeah, I'm switching systems. You know what I mean? But I get really amazing images, and I've seen amazing images from Micro Four Thirds and from every system, right? So you can't make a buying decision on image quality really anymore, I don't think, when it comes to buying a camera. You have to look at what are your requirements? What are you looking for in a camera? Are you looking for ergonomics, durability, weather sealing, compact size and weight? Yeah, and feature set, OM1, no question, hands down. Most features, probably the most durable camera ever made. And, like I said, image quality aside, I think you can get great images from any system. It's almost a level playing field at this point. There's very little to complain or not like about the OM1 or the Olympus system in general. EM1 Mark III, EM5 Mark III, EM5 Mark II. My God, this camera, six or 7 years later, this is still an awesome camera. And so for me, it's always Micro Four Thirds is always the answer, right? Like Miata, it's always the answer. But that said, like there's a lot of people invested in heavily into whatever system they have, and it doesn't make any sense to switch systems, right? Because it would just be too costly to do so. As a consumer, as a professional, you have to make decisions based on different dynamics. But as a consumer, sometimes you can't switch because it would just be too costly. And like I said, image quality aside, because you're going to get a great image no matter what system you choose. Can you deal with the size and weight of larger sensor cameras, right? Of the lens systems and the flash systems and everything else that you would have to do, because I can pack this OM1 with, really, I only need one lens when I go on a photo job, my 7-14. And this will do everything now, photo and video. And the battery will last for the entire job. I had the battery last for 3 jobs one time on my EM1 Mark III. So I've only done single jobs at a time with this one. But, this is better than the EM1 Mark III in terms of battery life, right? So I can probably do an all-day shoot on a single battery. It's kind of pushing it a little. But I could do video and photo shoot 3 times, 3 jobs. I just don't see. I can't think of any other system that can do that for me. Now, if we throw size and weight out of the picture, let's say size and weight is not an issue for you, right? You have big hands, you work out, and at that point, yeah, Z9 would probably be my first pick. I think the Z9 is pretty freaking amazing. And the Nikon glass for the Z system is just without reproach, or whatever the word is. The glass from Nikon has always been excellent. I mean, Canon makes excellent glass too, but I'm more familiar with the Nikon glass, and it's always been amazing, the Nikon glass. And Fuji, I assume, has good glass. I know their 35 f2 that I just bought is, and I paid like $200 for that, right? That's an excellent lens. I wish they made good glass for my little Canon M50, because all I got now for it is the zoom lens, and it's not very good. Anyhow, I can't even remember what the question was. What do I think of the XH2? I'd be very excited if I was a Fujifilm user, and I would definitely buy it. Just like as an Olympus user, if it's within your means, right, or in your budget is the right word, because budget can apply to people whether you have money or not, right? You can be very rich, but you have a budget. If it's in your budget, I would definitely recommend the OM1 to anybody without hesitation. And as a Fuji shooter, until it's released and people are using it and making it and getting, not having any bugs or anything, I would be very excited as a Fuji user and probably recommend it. Just like I wouldn't hesitate to recommend a Z9 at all. But Canon and Sony, I'm not very familiar with. I mean, I saw the R7 and R10 come out, but man, if you showed me an R5, an R3, I'd be like, I don't know, how much is it? You know what I mean? I'd be like starting to question my life decisions when you start looking at prices that these high end cameras are going for. Like Sony A1, $6,500. Holy crap! If I bought a Sony A1 and started doing for Sony videos with that camera, and if I got a thumbs down on a video that I paid $6,500 for a camera, and I got a thumbs down on a video, I'd be pissed. But if I take out, most of my videos now, actually for my vlogs, I use my little 360 cam. I don't care if I get a thumbs down. I didn't pay much for the vlogging camera. That's a silly way to look at it, right? What does the camera have to do with the thumbs down? But that's just how I think sometimes. Is if I spent $6,500 on a camera, then another couple thousand on a lens, and then I go out and take the time to make a video and I get a thumbs down, yeah, I would be upset. Anyhow, that's a stupid way to look at it, but that's how it is for me. Go all in. Go. Oh, Leica, man. Let me tell you something. I would kill for a Leica, right? Well, I wouldn't kill for a Leica, but definitely one day, just like I bought the Hasselblad film camera, the 500. There's just some cameras, they're like halo cameras for me. And if I could eventually get a good Leica, and it doesn't even have to be the camera body. Camera bodies are kind of disposable in a sense, right? Like I wouldn't want to buy a used 5-year-old Leica body. It just because technology changes so much and so fast. Buying the digital part, the bodies, the camera bodies nowadays, you can interchange the brand name on them pretty much, right? I mean, you could put Olympus on a Leica body. You could put Leica on an Olympus body. It doesn't matter. Come to think of it, that's what Panasonic does, right? Don't they interchange Panasonic and the name Leica? It's the same exact camera. They just swapped the labels on between Leica and Panasonic. The camera bodies themselves, it's just they're all the same in a lot of ways. In a lot of ways, they're pretty much the same. Just you can swap the label on them and it wouldn't matter. But it's the lenses. It's the lenses, right? Olympus makes, I would say, excellent lenses. I mean, everybody does. So it's almost at a point now where the lenses that are created are pretty much on a level. Even Sigma makes really good lenses now. My God, in the film days, Sigmas were crap. I would say, yeah, Sigmas were crap, even in the film days. And some of like I had a 50 millimeter 1.4 art lens for my Nikon. And I didn't like it. I don't know what it was about it. Yeah, it was sharp and gave me nice depth of field, but I sold it. I sold all my Sigma glass that I had for my Nikon. Not because of the image quality so much, primarily because they were so big and heavy. And I just couldn't bring them with me. My favorite Sigma lens that I ever had was the 24-105 f4. That lens, I can tell you, was tack sharp. And for the range and the f-stop that it had was pretty reasonable. It was still a heavy-ass lens, but it's pretty reasonable. I feel like their 50 f1.4 art series was too big and heavy for what it is. Same thing with I had another one. It was another prime. I can't remember what it was. Might have been their 85. And then I also had their 18 to 55 APS-C lens art series, right? It was like an f1.8, 18, maybe it was 18 to 35 APS-C lens, f1.8. That lens was crap. I couldn't get that thing to frickin' autofocus to save my life. It just misfocused all the time. And at the time, I was using an optical viewfinder, so I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell they were out of focus till I got back home. And the 50 would misfocus sometimes. I mean, it was a constant problem. But anyhow, a Leica lenses, they're $5,000 to $15,000, depending on what you want. Whew, man, I think the magic of Leica is really in their lenses, and just forget about the bodies. The bodies, so that's the other reason I'm semi holding on to my Panasonic here, because of the L mount alliance, right? Eventually I can buy, if I can ever afford it, hit the lottery. If I can ever buy an L mount glass for this camera, I would be in heaven. Because the L mount glass that they make for their the SL2 Leica that came out, those lenses are probably some of the finest lenses ever made. And man, but I just don't got 5 to 10 grand to buy one, for one lens. I might rent one if I can find a place that will rent them. My local camera store doesn't rent them, but I might be able to find somewhere to rent it just to see. Because sometimes you build up things in your mind that you think they're going to be so great, then you buy it and it's not, right? But yeah, anyhow, I would love to have a Leica lens specifically. An L mount lens would be awesome. The M mount lenses are excellent as well. And but I don't think they're quite the quality that they made and designed for the L mount lenses, because the L mount lenses have to go onto a 47 megapixel full frame camera, and they have to design the lenses to be able to resolve that, and they do. Whew. All right. Andrew says he'd take an X Pro 3 over a Leica. Yeah. I mean, like I said, camera bodies, I wouldn't, I don't put as much weight into the camera bodies by Leica. They have some nice features though. Like it'll tell you what the depth of field is. Like it'll read it out on the screen for you. That would be a nice feature to put in the Olympus cameras. You push a button and it'll tell you, based on your focal length, aperture, and focus point that you chose, it'll say your depth of field is this, right? That's kind of neat. And you have two Panasonic Leica lenses. Yeah. Yeah, the Panasonic Leica lenses, yeah, those are nice ones too. They're very good. Those are top tier glass. But it's not a Leica, like a real Leica lens made at Leica. Those are lenses made at Panasonic, and then they put the Leica brand on it, but they have to meet a certain manufacturing tolerance and process to get that Leica name on it. So they are definitely a step above their normal Lumix lenses, but they're not Leica lenses, so to speak, right? And Zeiss Voigtlander is better than Leica. Ooh, I would debate that. I have a Zeiss Distagon, which is virtually, I'd say that's the best lens I own, bar none. The finest lens I own is my my Zeiss 35 millimeter f2 Distagon. My only qualm with it is so heavy, especially when I put an adapter on it to put it on my. I'll have to take it out with this. I did take it out once. I put my my Zeiss 35 Distagon on here, and it's not worth much anymore. I think you can buy them for like $500 or less, maybe 300. But the 35 millimeter Distagon f2 is man, one of the finest lenses ever made in my opinion. It's pretty freaking amazing. But yeah, I would debate that though. I think overall the top tier lenses from Leica are going to be better than the top tier lenses from Zeiss. Just my opinion. Who knows? Ooh, Randy's got a bunch. That's awesome. Shooting a lot of film lately, huh? Okay, I thought I saw something from Mark Wolf. I'm always missing questions at the last minute because I do want to wrap this up. Uh, how's the Leica? I think the zoom ring on it's too stiff. If we're thinking of the same lens, you're better off buying the 75 to 300. I would just buy, actually I would buy the 100 to 400 from Olympus. That's an excellent lens. It's made by Sigma, well, designed by Sigma. Ultimately, the lens design is Sigma, but it's really a good lens. The 100 to 400 from Olympus. Forget about the Panasonic. View is asking, what was my first camera? My first camera ever was, I have it actually. I'll go get it. I'll show you. It's a Fuji. Whoops. My first digital camera. Man, when I was counting how many cameras I have, I didn't even count all of these. This was my very first digital camera ever. It's a Fuji MX 2700. It has a f3.2 lens, 77.6 millimeters. So multiply that by 5. So this is like a 35 millimeter equivalent, right? And it, as you can see, it's really compact. Hopefully that'll focus. If I can get some light on it. Ironically, I'm using a Panasonic Lumix lens right now for the stream. This was my very first digital camera. My very first film camera was a Minolta Maxim 7000. Was my very first film camera. And shortly thereafter, I bought a OM2S, or Olympus OM2S, which I still have. But I got into compact cameras. This is my Canon S100 ELPH. This is another Fuji. This is the MX something, MX 2900. And these all still work. It's just the batteries just are, pretty much gone. And they use these really, really thin memory cards. I still have one or two of those, but I got this camera because it had a hot shoe and a flash. So this still works. This button's getting a little fidgety though. Has a top LCD, has a zoom range on it. They still sell they sell generic batteries now that will fit this. So I was thinking about picking up a generic set of batteries and see if I can take these out just for fun. I wish I could show you the images I took with these cameras, but there was a point. It was back in 2005. It was around 2005. One of my hard drives died before I had a chance to back it up, and that had all of the pictures from these cameras. And this was like 15, 17 years ago. I lost most of the pictures that I took with this camera, unfortunately. And so I still have a few. I don't have any of the original JPEGs, I don't think. I still have a few images that I took with these cameras, but not a lot. Oh, but that was my first. My first digital was this, and my first film camera was a Maxim 7000 Minolta, which I bought new at the time, but I sold it shortly thereafter. But I bought it again a few years ago for $25. And it worked. It works great. I think I did a vlog on it. I did a vlog using that camera, actually. That was the first film camera I ever owned, if I remember correctly. We should do a photo walk with old digital cameras. Yeah, that would be cool, wouldn't it? Give that some thought. Yeah, it's a tiny LCD. I think it only showed like, what did it? I don't even know what it showed. What would you show on that? I don't know. Oh, the E500, nice. I have an E500 sitting in my dry box. Oh man, if you're going to talk about cameras before we were an adult, I mean, as a kid, yeah, I had those Kodak Instamatics. Where you put the square cube flashes on it. I don't know if those should count though. I'm trying to think if I had any compact film cameras. I don't think I had one before I've had compact film cameras, but I think my first film camera was actually Minolta. Certainly the first interchangeable lens camera I've ever had. Oh, the XD11, nice. Randy said he had an XD. That's a Minolta XD11. I think that's the one that was in collaboration with Leica, possibly. That was an awesome camera, definitely. Minolta XD11. I believe that was in collaboration with Leica. Oh, here. Okay, damn it. Mark Wolf. I just saw your question and then it jumped out. Here it is. Well, let me just make a note here. Mark Schneider says the 100 to 400 is fantastic, the Panasonic one. So the only time I held the Panasonic 100 to 400, the zoom ring was very stiff, and I didn't like it. The image quality was probably fine. I couldn't tell you that because I didn't take any pictures with it myself on my camera. But when I held someone else's camera that had it, I didn't like the zoom ring. And I think that is a common issue with that lens. But the 100 to 400 from Olympus, I know is excellent. And then here's my question again. Any suggestions for a bounce card or diffuser when using a small FML3 flash on outdoor or even indoor portraits? Not really. The thing is so small. Hence, that's probably why you want to use a diffuser, is to try to kill some of the harsh lighting you get from it. Uh, there isn't really a good solution. I've done this before where this is just a whiteboard, right? That I got this from a box of candy, uh, a box of chocolates or something. This was a whiteboard that I use, and I strapped this to my flashes. I just cut some holes and put some flash, and the best you can do is, bounce the light off of here and have it bounce back. If you're talking about doing flash outdoors, um, that little FML3 is not going to have enough power to make any difference. Whether you use it, and if you use a diffuser, it's just going to, cut the power down to where it's not even going to make a difference, unless it's very dark. If you're talking about doing outdoor at night on the patio, then just any white card will do. There's not really any devices to put a diffuser directly on the flash, and even if you did, it would still be too small to make any difference, right? Um, but what I have seen people do is, I'll show you one other thing. Is I have seen people take like these old film. This is not old actually, but they take these film canisters, right, where your 35 millimeter film comes in, and they cut a hole in it and put it directly onto the flash. So you could try that, and it'll help spread the light. And this would only work indoors. Okay, this will help spread the light indoors, so it'll start bouncing off the ceilings and the walls and everything. Outdoors, if you put this on, your flash has nothing to bounce off of. The light has nothing to bounce off of. So all you're doing is cutting the power of your flash output, which you don't want to do outdoors, right? But indoors, a little hack like this uh, can help diffuse the light so it starts bouncing off the walls and the ceiling and everything. But the flash is just so small, it's hard to do much with it. Your best bet is to rotate the flash against a white wall and have that light bounce back. And you'd have to do it indoors with very little ambient light so that the only light is coming from the flash. And you probably have to crank up your ISO too, because like I said, the flash is not very powerful. Um, you can try, but I think it's going to be futile. It's going to be very futile to try to diffuse light on that little FML3. Uh, but those are my suggestions if you want to try it. Okay. Oh, K1000. Yeah. Classic film camera. Used a lot for teaching photography. And System Matura is confirming the zoom is very stiff. Yeah, that's what I found. Oh, I heard about that. The digicams. Yeah, I have heard about that. I'm not sure exactly what they are, but ooh, an X700. Yeah, nice. I think David Tellett has one of those. Those are sweet cameras. A lot of electronics to break, though, right? I mean, that's the only problem with film cameras that that are awesome, is all the electronics. They're going to start to fail, and you're not going to get them fixed ever, probably. But there's enough of them out there that you can find one in good working order. But yeah, that's an excellent camera. Marco, how you doing? Coming in late to the party. I'm just, oh my God, it's after 12. I'm gonna go. Kodak Brownie. Hey Lauren, how are you? Canon TLB. I have no idea what that is, or what a Pentax SF1 is. Film is in my past. Yeah. Like I said, I don't shoot film more than every other month, probably at most. But when I do, I enjoy it. Um, but okay, everyone, you guys have a great weekend. I may or may not be back Sunday. It's Sundays. I'm getting kind of busy with life. Now that the weather's nice, people are doing stuff, family and friends. So um, Sunday may be a little more random than Thursdays. Thursdays are only random because I might have actually a real photo job or something. But I always try to be here at least on Thursdays. And I appreciate you guys coming in today. It was great seeing everybody. And we'll see you guys again soon.